This took place around the corner from my house when I was about 7 to 10 years old. There was a food place around the corner and I'd run around to get their milkshakes every now and then. One day, my parents left to go out somewhere, just as the sun was about to set. I called my mom to tell her I'd be leaving around the corner and she said it was fine. The previous day I had gotten a deep bruise on my arm from school, and I was wearing a t-shirt that day as it was just turning summer. I didn't know how to tie shoelaces back then, so I just thought I'd leave them untied for the moment. I was walking around the corner when a tall, tired-looking man in his 40s to late 50s came up to me and asked to tie my laces. I assume he was Indian from what I could tell at the time. He spoke with an accent and I think maybe English wasn't his first language. I thought it was strange, but I let him, not knowing any better. After he was finished, he stared at me for a moment. He looked at the bruise on my arm, grabbed my arm and examined it. "Oh no, you need a bandage. Come with me and we'll find your parents." Hearing this and becoming uncomfortable, my shy young self mumbled, "It's fine." He pulled out his phone and brought up a picture of his son while still grabbing onto me. I was becoming increasingly freaked out, especially because I was very introverted when I was young. "This is my son, you can trust me," he said. At that point I knew something didn't feel right. I had a feeling that I had to leave as soon as possible. He was standing in the direction of my house, blocking the way, so running home wasn't an option. I also was smart enough not to show him where I lived. A few people were walking past, without intervening. My parents never taught me stranger danger, so all I could do was hope someone intervened. A family walked by, going into their house from behind where the man was holding me by the arm. What makes me angry to this day is that nobody intervened, not even the family walking behind me. I kept repeating, "It's fine, really, it's fine," over and over, but no one spoke up. My heart was beating fast and I didn't know what to do. I pulled my arm away and started walking to the food place, as it was my only option. I didn't look behind me, I just kept walking. When I got to the food place, which took about 5 minutes, I ordered my milkshake and waited for it to be made. I was almost in tears, barely holding it together. The man had followed me all the way to the small food place. He was standing at the open entrance, staring at me. I really felt that I was about to be kidnapped. My heart was racing, I was sweating, and I was in shock. I did my best to hide my trembling voice when giving the cashier a thank you and reluctantly took my milkshake. "Hey," a voice from behind me said. I turned around to see my neighbor. She was a woman in her 60s and was very nice from our select few interactions. I didn't know her that well, but my parents did. She whispered to me, "Is that man following you? Do you want me to walk you home?" Looking back now, she quite possibly saved me from being kidnapped, even saved my life. The man was scared off at this point and walked away. My neighbor walked me home and asked me a few questions. I answered slowly, trying to gather my thoughts and catch my breath. As we were nearly at my house, my neighbor asked if she could come in with me to tell my parents. I said no, as I was in shock and I especially did not want my parents to find out, fearing they would get really mad at me. My parents were home at that point and greeted me as I came inside. I said hello back quietly and rushed to my room. I sat on my bed and recounted what had happened over and over. Should I tell my parents? Would the neighbor tell my parents anyway? I hesitated for a while, then went up to my mom's room while she was watching TV. I asked if I could tell her something and she turned the TV off. I was halfway through explaining what happened when I broke down in tears. She got very mad and I immediately thought telling her was a bad idea. She rushed me downstairs to where my dad and 3 of my brothers were watching a movie together. My mom explained what happened and everyone got really mad. My dad was shouting at me, frantically asking questions. After answering, I went to my room and sobbed in my bed before falling to sleep. I find out later that my parents went to the police station. My parents explained later that they weren't mad at me. They were mad at my attempted kidnapping. The situation could have been handled a bit better by everyone looking back. I had to describe to my dad what he looked like, and I went to the police station to give a statement the next day. My neighbor also made a statement. My mom had a therapist come to the house for a day to find out if I had suffered anything that could cause trauma. Luckily, it didn't, but I was afraid to leave my house alone for months. I will always remember that day. They never caught the guy. I used to tell myself, maybe he was worried that a 7 to 10-year-old was walking without parents and wasn't causing any harm. But looking back, my opinions have changed.